Well, another week, and there's more changes in Evernote. Plus, today, a viewer question about what to do with notes that you just can't part with. Hi, I'm Dave Edwards, a certified Evernote expert. That means I don't work for Evernote and am not bound to be a cheerleader. I just get to sit in on chats with the Evernote team and learn what's going on, and then I share it with you. And I also try to answer your questions. Hey, if you like these kinds of videos, if you are a user of Evernote, please subscribe to this video and you won't miss any of them. And if you're interested in my free weekly newsletter on Evernote, productivity, leadership, and management issues, I'd encourage you to sign up for it at my website, daveedwardsmedia.com/contact. So late last week, Evernote released another new update. This is version 10.125.5. So make sure you have the latest version if you're interested in any of these features. The most significant change affects Spaces, a feature they just rolled out a couple of weeks ago, and some changes to AI Edit. So, have you had a chance to work with Spaces, the new collaborative tool that allows me to share a workspace with you or anyone else? Well, I've been playing around with it more than anything else. I just started using it, and I guess if I worked in a really large organization where I collaborated with a lot more people, I would have had far more experience with this right now. But with my consulting work, I don't, collaborate as much as you might. So I'd actually love to learn how you are using Spaces. But they have made a pretty significant change to Spaces that I want to show you. The last time I demonstrated Spaces, it was pretty rudimentary, and as it says, it's still in beta testing, so we're likely to see Spaces evolve. And one of the challenges that I think I pointed out in my last video was that, once you had something in Spaces, let's say a notebook for a client, you could not delete it, but now you can. Let's take a look here. So we are in my client B space, which means anything related to my work for client B, I'd be sharing with that individual. And I actually have two notes inside of that. Project summary, which is, as it says, where I would share all of the pertinent information with that individual, or detailed work where I'd put my notes or other notes that I want to share with the client. But what happens if I want to delete this detailed work note? I'm no longer using it. I want to keep the project summary. And what if I no longer want to share this notebook? You come over here to the three dots. Now, this is where it's a little bit weird, but I'll show you what happens anyway. Yes, you can rename the space, you can add it to your shortcuts, but if you delete space, it's going to tell you that any notes and notebooks in the space will be moved to trash, and this cannot be undone. That's pretty much the way Evernote handles all of its delete policy, and that's here in Spaces now as well. So if I hit delete, it's all gone. All of these notes are gone. Everything is gone. So you might not want to do that. What you would want to do, if let's say I would want to keep this detailed work or keep this notebook, one of the things I can do is just move this out of here before I hit delete. So if I wanted to take my detailed work note and take it out of here, I could slide it into any one of my other projects. So I could just simply slide it out of here, and I want to put it into, I don't know, let's just put it into my client folder here. And now, as you see, it's out of Spaces. The note now resides in this notebook. Now I can come back and delete the space from here. And now when I do that, it is completely gone. If you come to Spaces, you'll now see that the Client B notebook is gone. Now, another change in this new update involves AI Edit. Now, this is a tool I use a lot. I love the AI Edit feature. What it allows you to do is to not only do the regular cleanup that it might do, but it allows you to adjust the tone of your note. Let's see an example here. So I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to go up to AI. And then, as always, it will allow me to summarize or fix typos or improve my writing or even translate into languages. That's old school. What's new is the ability to change the tone. So we can change it from a formal to a friendly to a funny to a concise, engaging, or empathetic. Let's just play with this a little bit here. So this is a note, and actually this is text from a blog post that I made recently to daveedwardsmedia.com. This is a shameless plug for my blog, isn't it? Okay, so let's say we want to change the tone of what I have written here. You come over and you highlight the text, come over here, and you come over to AI Edit, and I want to change this to a more formal style. Let's see what it's doing. Okay, if you find it challenging to maintain focus okay, it didn't make a whole lot of changes to what I originally wrote. It estimates 20% of it. So it really didn't change very much in here. But let's try it again. Come over to AI Edit, change tone. Let's change it to empathetic this time. And now let's compare it. So it made a few changes. Instead of estimates, it made it to suggests. If you feel you can't stay on a task, if you find it challenging to stay on a task. Okay, so it made a few little changes here. Let's come back to it. Let's try one more. Change the tone to concise. Oh, wait, let's do funny first. Let's see if it has a sense of humor. Oh, now it's changed a few words. Instead of estimates the 20%, it says the American Psychological Society says that a whopping 20% of Americans treats it like a funky epidemic. I like that. Oh, and it added a little logo there. Isn't that cute? Okay, so it probably made more changes there. Okay, one more. Concise. Let's see. Oh, I tend to write. I'm a little long-winded, so let's see if it'll help me here. Again, not too many changes. I guess. Yeah, I guess it. Maybe what it's saying is that I'm more concise than I think I am. Actually, I think in some of these changes aren't going to be real major. It depends on what your writing style is. Obviously, the funny one changed the note most significantly. But changing the tone is something that I'm seeing more and more with AI services, and I do like that. It's fun to play around with. At least it gives you another perspective on your writing. So play around with this and see how it works for you. Okay, before we get to our viewer's question, here are the fixes that Evernote rolled out in this latest update. So they fixed a copy-paste issue in tags. That's not something I even noticed, but it's fixed now. There was also a problem with the keyboard shortcut that allow you to rename selected and open notes. They fixed an issue where the date of the overdue tasks would not appear in red. That I noticed a couple of times, but seems to be working now. And fixed an issue where task details wouldn't open from the three-dot menu. I actually don't open it that way, so I didn't notice it, but if you did, it's been fixed now. So let's move on to our viewer question. Terry asked, I have a lot of notes in Evernote that I don't use regularly, but I don't want to delete them. I've heard you mention that you archive your notes. Can you share how you do that? So, Terry, I know the feeling. I really do. But let me show you. I do have an archive system, but let me show you a couple of things. First of all, I do have a notebook marked reference. And in a reference notebook, this is if you're using the GTD terminology. This is what I would consider to be, action support, things that I might want to look up later. They don't neatly fit into a project, but for example, my college diploma, my license plate number, things I want to plant in my garden, they would all reside into a reference note. What if, however, this I've planted the flowers, or I've decided to plant some of them and I've decided not to plant others. What do I do with this note? Do I want to keep it in reference? Well, I mean, I could, but then every time I come to this folder, it's going to be there, and I don't consider this to be an active reference item. What I do have is notebooks called archive clients. Archive work. I could have one for, archive personal. And once I'm done with this note, I can slide it into one of these archive notebooks. One of the reasons I like this approach is because even though it's not in my active folder, my active project folder, my active reference folder, it still exists for the purposes of search. So if I want to search on Evernote for an item that may not be an active folder or in an active notebook, I can still find it in search. So even though it's a note that I think I may never ever use again, I tend to keep them into an archive folder. A good example of that is when I worked my last 9 to 5 that I retired from. I was using Evernote extensively. I didn't want to just delete all of the notes that I kept. So in my real Evernote account, you will see an archive for my former job, and I've put everything in there. Surprise, surprise, 5 years later, someone from my old job called me and asked me about something, and as I was able to come and do a search and find it in that archive. Now, if you want to save space and you don't want it to be in your search function, your other option is to just do a backup of that note, copy it outside of Evernote, and you can store it on your computer or in Dropbox or Google Drive or wherever you want. Now you still have access to it if you want to import it back into Evernote, or you can just keep it into one of your archive folders. So Terry, that's the way I do it. I always love to hear from my viewers. If you have any Evernote related questions, please post them below. Or if you really want me to see them, just email me at daveedwards@outlook.com. I'll tell you a funny story. Whenever someone asks me, do you have any questions? Kind of like what I just did to you. I always say, what's the capital of North Dakota? And they're thrown for a second. Hey, any rate, if you have any questions, send them to me and I'll try to answer them in future videos. And I really do appreciate it that you're not only watching these videos, but that you'll hit the subscribe and like button below. Thanks very much.